Hi. Alright, welcome to this space if you're new here, and welcome back if you're returning. Okay, so I just wanted to mention this month to everybody. It's been many years since the whole thing started, and the intention is still the same. This space is for those who are trying to find their way through, or who are at places that are as far as you've gone with yourself, and then looking to see what is available to help you grow out of those places, or have those places blossom in you. And so because of that, there are people that come and people that go. There are people that come and people that stay. It depends on, I guess, the means of how one wants to educate themselves and what they feel that they need. And for those of you who are here, I do hope that this service and time is helpful for you. Okay? Give me just 1 second. Well, I guess part of it, so there's a key. There's a key here. Let's try to go in order and see what the story is. So there was a lot of time in a lonely place, right? A place of deep contemplation and wanting to know, like deeply wanting to know the answer. Like, what does this go to? What does this mean? How do I use this tool? Who gave me this? How am I supposed to use it? There's a lot of questions here. Then one came to realize that there's something in relation to the heart that opened up, right? It came out of, it left this space place, and then came down out of the water onto the shore, and this opens some kind of heart space. That's part of what the key goes to, is the heart. And there's something about that space that's interesting. It's like there's a bit of a mirage world in there. It's like where sand looks like snow, or clouds look like ice, right? It is something, but it looks like something else. That's a bit of what's happening, or has been happening, in the heart space. This has to do with maybe there's a stone. I see a garnet stone. This is Saturn. But either way, it's a deep red. It's a color of it's a color of deepness, right? This isn't a new red. This is a red that comes through time, like a depth that comes through time. And maybe even understanding, like, the creative outlook on how to look at something, like, okay, it looks like this, but I know that it's that, right? Then starting to not have the mirage be the reality, but being able to see it in both ways, and then recognizing what those differences are and having the intention with it, right? And this in and of itself causes some sort of mind-blowing awareness, right? It's like it opens up a blockage. Through knowing the mirage of the heart, then the mind unlocks what makes it feel, what makes one feel crazy, or like what makes one feel different and judged by that. It like stops that, you know, the judgment. Okay. So again, there's this opening in the mind, right? It keeps saying it undoes like a blockage to the path, right? It keeps seeing like a labyrinth, like it's not. Because everything looks the same there. But you have to trust in the feeling of what it is. And maybe there's like signs or symbols in what you see, even though it's not what it is. And sometimes that can be helpful. I hope this is making sense. And not totally bananas. So another way through, another means of this key, although there is this path that must be followed, it's like where something's being, like the layers are being pulled back on something. So you can see what is within, right? Sometimes you can't tell what is really going on beneath unless you pull back those layers. And even if you just looked at the top, it's going to be different than what's in the middle, than what's at the bottom. And depending what is grown there is what gives the ability to, it like gives a different vibration into the future. Okay, you have this eternal life card in the center. This card always makes me, it always makes me laugh. I don't know why. It brings joy to me. It's like where there can be all kinds of worry or anxiety or feelings of restlessness or exhaustion or what have you. But once this card is seen, this image, it's like, well, it's almost just like the care, the worry, and all of that just go away. So perhaps there may be something that you like to look at that could be very helpful for you also in finding your peace, right? Or finding your zen in some kind of way during this time. Now, the ceremony of completion, the ceremony of the ceremony of the center, the ceremony of the centering. Ceremony of the centering. You know, this isn't perfect, but it is, right? It isn't ultimately perfect, but it is in the same breath. Now, this connects to self-preservation, right? Which looks over at the self-created, which sits next to the card of being earthbound. let's keep going with the story. So something is learned, something is unblocked. This has, once you unlock the parts of the heart, then the mind can start to open up again, the pathways. Then from in there, that is you're able to pull back layers again to understand what's going on beneath, and then actually realizing how to use it, what it's used for, so that it can nourish you, right? This then brings some kind of acceptance to the eternalness of something, or to time, to appreciation of that which is temporary, which is also infinite. It's a very fine line. But what's interesting about that is once you come to this place, then again, there's like another labyrinth. Then there's another labyrinth. This lines up with Blow Your Mind too. So this is, I guess, a preparation for this passage. Now, I suppose there are a lot of illusions and delusions and lies, things that are untrue, like deception, you know? I've been trying not to reference too much of the past lately, although it's all seemingly lining up. Because what's important is right now, right? So what is the message? Once you know something is untrue, then you don't have to keep reaffirming that. But at times when you figure out the truth, your truth, get the lies or the manipulation or the deceit or the fear out of the way, right? You get and it comes from the art of sweeping, but that kind of thing, it takes a while to get it out of the way, right? So again, once the truth of it is there, then I guess this can open up new ways of seeing the world in a different way, right? Putting your own perspective on the situation, but also understanding there's these like ancient things that all of us know. It doesn't matter what culture we come from. Okay. I do see a lot of there's a lot of Egyptian energy here for some reason. That part of the world. It's a desert, right? There's a preparation of 7 years, a 7-year preparation. Something comes through a message, maybe through a dream, in sleep time, something like that. Something also is opening in that space. Let's see. Give me a second. I guess there's also a kind of a message here too. It's more about like communicating in this heart space. or through this heart space, from this center, right? Because this finding love in where you came from, finding love in where you are, feeling solid in where you are. Sometimes it's hard to turn off the mind, right? And in essence, I suppose learning can bring more questions, right? Sometimes an answer creates more questions. So we have to know how to turn off. One has to know how to turn off their mind also, so that they don't panic in the labyrinth, right? When you worry about the end goal too much, it causes anxiety. So don't slip yourself up by thinking that you don't have what you need, because you do. You've been given a great magical key. It's there for you, but it's how to use it, again, it's for your heart. It's for nothing more. I guess it's for love, for opening a space of understanding love more. That's part of the blowing the mind. Now, I would say, as with these 3 bottom cards, there can be an infinite blossom to an extent, right? There is an infinite, again, like this infinite place, this eternal place. But as you are human, you just make sure also that you will recognize what you are able to create, you know. You know, some people may not believe what it is that you know in your heart. Or maybe they don't even understand, but if you do, then there's another petal gained and given during this ceremony of the centering. So, remember, you must also create your own preservation. Okay, this is also a bit of being sort of closed off to something, and needing to at times, right, to ensure that you're solid, so you have what you need energetically, right? Especially if you're on this spiritual trip or whatever you're relating this to, it's obviously something that you're deeply connected to in your heart, and that in and of itself takes a lot of energy. So you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself to be open enough to healing these places, or being open to opening up maybe in ways with others that you haven't. You know, we need connection. And I see the word reserved. And then remember that once you open up, right, something opens up and blossoms. Usually it's during the day, flowers bloom. At night, a lot of plants will ease up all their energy, right? They wait until they come in with the moon, and then they open up with the sun. And so you want to make sure that you're sleeping well. Take care of yourself that way. So again, there's less anxiety when it comes to having to deal with this this pathway, because there's a lot of like turns in it. Okay. This would also be, and I know sometimes it's hard, and we do use this word a lot, like have patience, but it's as you're going along, like give yourself a minute to, you know, if you feel like you're too floaty, or it's too heady, too mental, then you want to come all the way down. Do something that's very physical. Do something that's very human, like eat something. Sit down, like make a funny noise. Open something. Do something again like human. This will help ground you. There's something about a beautiful swamp here too. Maybe you want to pay attention when the sky is very red also. I do see kind of a sunset prayer. Someone is really trying to figure out how to open up. So if you're feeling reserved, remember the advice is to open up. But you have to know like when, and how much energy it takes, and then remember to come back in, right? Because I guess to be able to have the wider perspective, or to view your world in a different way, or to be able to understand these other dimensional places, these other spaces, then one has to open up in their heart to be able to find that, right? But again, sometimes answers give more questions. So as you're going along, remember to ask for advice as you go along. And then trust yourself to what that is, what the message is. Because there is something that's guiding you. It's okay. It's like Venus energy. It's loving. It wants. It's like holding Venus in your right hand. So this is, I guess it's protecting what you love. But it's also action that is loving, right? Action that is soft. Which then gives the right timing to be able to pick something from the tree, and again to know what to do with it, which then helps you to understand, like, oh, I just learned something, and then from that you can open up another little space in your heart, and then inside of your heart there's also another key which helps you to open the next place when you get there. I love you so much. I hope this was of service. And please remember to always be yourself. The best thing a person can ever be is who they are. Talk to you later.